The problem with men nowadays is they simply do not think. This was a quote I used to hear from an audiobook I used to listen to back in the day when I used to work my supermarket job, when I'd be pushing trolleys in the car park, in the snow, in the rain, in the cold, and I would listen to this and it would just slowly be impressed into my mind. The problem with men nowadays is they simply do not think. And on my journey, there was many times on my journey where I didn't actually think. Okay, I'll give you an example of this. My first goal was to make $10,000 a month, right? And I was like, I want to make $10,000 a month and have freedom. That was my first goal. And I ended up achieving that. And I ended up moving out to Amsterdam. And I was making over $10,000 a month. I even had one client that paid me $20,000 in one single month. But because I didn't really think, because I didn't really take the time to question what do I actually want, I was presented by God with what I had asked for, which was make over $10,000 a month and have the freedom to travel the world. What did I have? Over $10,000 a month and freedom to travel the world. But here's the problem. I was working 10, 12-hour days on a business I didn't enjoy, with clients I didn't really like working with, that didn't bring me satisfaction or joy or happiness. And I was ultimately in a prison that I had created for myself because I didn't ask for truly what I wanted. I didn't take the time to think. I didn't take the time to question. Do you understand? I see this play out all the time as well. I speak to entrepreneurs. I speak to a guy once. He's making over $50,000 a month, right? He bought his dream car, but he's working 12-hour days. He's burned out. He's out of shape. He wanted to get a girlfriend. He thought money would help him do that. But in the pursuit of money, he got fat. So now he doesn't have the confidence to speak to a girl. All because he didn't think. If he had taken a step back to actually think and question, what do I actually want in this life? Then he would have created that, bro. Understand that thoughts are energy. Emotions is energy in motion. And then you subconsciously will go after and attract those things into your life. It's just a decision, my bro. But the problem with men nowadays is they simply do not think. They just surface level think. But you need to understand there's levels. It's called deductive thinking. If you ask yourself this simple principle, and this is one of the core principles I teach inside of Brotherhood, start your 7-day trial below right now to access all of these frameworks and principles, is understanding your reasons why. You see, again, you might say, I want to make money online. Why? Because I want freedom. Why? Because I want to be able to travel the world. As a small example, right? So this will determine how you build your business. Or even thinking about another principle I share is your vision. What do you want? What do you want, bro? If you sit back and say, I just want to make money online. Well, yeah, God will bless you with making money online, right? But what if you truly want is to make money online and have the freedom to travel the world and work only 1 hour a day if you want? This is what I wrote down. I was very, very specific. Make money online. This was after I had learned from my first mistake, right? Make money online, over $30,000 a month, have the freedom to travel the world in luxury, doing what I want, when I want, with who I want, with a simple business. Last year, I was able to generate multiple 6 figures. All I done, I made YouTube videos. People would go to brotherhood.co or apply for my one-on-one coaching. They would message me through WhatsApp. I would send them a payment link. They would pay. They would join Brotherhood. I would do coaching calls inside of there. That was it. And I made multiple 6 figures. Some months even making 60,000 in a month, right? Simple, streamlined, not working hours a day on my business, ability to travel the world freely on my own schedule. You see what I'm saying, bro? Because I thought about what I actually wanted. I was clear about what I actually wanted. Just from thinking, bro. And as I've grown and elevated on my journey, I've realized truly the power of thought. But again, there's levels to this game, my brother. This is why, again, you need to join Brotherhood, because these are the principles I'll share with you inside of there. Understanding how to actually impress these thoughts into the machine that is creating your reality, which is your subconscious mind. If you do not impress into your subconscious mind your thoughts you want to experience, the emotions you want to experience, the actions that you want to take, then brother, you are going to be forcing your way towards your goals. You're going to be struggling and pushing your way towards your goals. It does not need to be like that. Understand that inside your subconscious mind is where your beliefs are, your habits are, and your emotions are. So understand as well that you can impress into the subconscious mind through many techniques, one of them being visualization. The beliefs you want to have, the emotions you want to experience, the habits that you want to form. Because whatever is impressed into the subconscious has to be accepted. It doesn't understand the difference between good and bad. It just understands that whatever you're telling it, okay, that's true, let's accept that. Because all it wants to do is save energy and not die. So whatever you command it, whatever you tell it, with repetition and consistency, it will accept. It will believe it. And there's many other avenues we can dive into about what blocks the manifestation process, whether that be limiting beliefs, for example, whether that be certain people you have around you, energy blocks, right? Complicating it, not listening to God. There's many things we can dive into. I'm not going to dive into those right now, but just understand that simple framework, and it all begins with the thoughts that you have. It all begins with the thoughts that you have. What you think about becomes how you feel about the situations, and that will determine your actions. You see that? So you need to get super clear on what it is that you actually want. Think about it, bro. If you don't think about this, I promise you right now, you're going to go down some paths in your life you don't actually want to go down. If you just act on impulse, bro, let's say, for example, you just operate from desire. You act on impulse on desire. Let's say lust, for example. You want to meet girls. So you're just like, I want to meet a girl. But you don't actually question why. I guarantee that's going to lead you down a bad path, right? If you're just like, I want to make money, but you don't actually think about why you want to make the money or how you want to make the money, what kind of lifestyle you want, like I said, you could go down the wrong path because you could make a lot of money, but you could be trapped in a prison where you're working too many hours or you don't have the ability to be free, whatever it might be. Do you understand? With your fitness and your health, right? You'd say, I want to get jacked, I want to build muscle. Why? This is exactly what I done. I built my dream physique, 100 kg, what's that, 220 pounds, 10% body fat. But the reason why it was so shallow and surface level, once I started to really question these things in my life, so many areas of my life transformed. So many areas of my life, I started to take different actions in them because I started to really think about, why do I actually want this thing? Why am I actually doing the thing I'm going after? And this also ties into understanding, people ask me, John, I don't have motivation. No, my bro, yes you do. Motivation is a reason why you do something. And if you just take a step back and think about why you actually want the thing you're going after, you're going to find your deeper, emotional, compelling reason why. For example, I can say to you right now, why do you want to make money online? You're going to tell me, I want to travel the world, John. Okay. Or I could say to you, why do you want to make money online? You could say, because I want to create experiences and memories with my friends, with my loved ones that are going to last me a lifetime, so I don't look back with the regret of knowing I sold my soul for a 9-to-5 working for another man to get rich. Wow. You see how much more powerful and impactful that would be to your subconscious mind. Just a little thought, a little change in thought there could change your entire reality, my brother, just by taking a step back to think. A quote I want to give to you is, questions open the mind, statements close the mind. Let me repeat that one. Questions open the mind, statements close the mind. Here's another reason why you need to take the time to think. Because if you have a suggestion given to you by somebody, or you observe it, or some way this impression is given to you, and then you accept that, it becomes a belief. And then once it's a belief, you won't question it. Unless you do so consciously, right? So you need to question your beliefs, and you need to question where they came from. If, for example, you have beliefs about money, you have beliefs about relationships, you have beliefs about the life you can live, you have beliefs about anything in your life, you need to be able to deductively think around them and question them deeply. Because again, whatever is playing out in your reality, it's just a reflection of your internal world and the internal state that you operate from. So make sure that you are analyzing these thoughts that you have. Really question them. Where did I learn this belief? You know, one of my beliefs I used to have when I was younger was I can't focus. Why? Because in school, if I go and get my old school reports, every school report literally says, John can't focus. John can't focus. But now, I focus on demand with ease. That's one of the beliefs I instilled in myself. I was told when I was younger, I have ADHD. Throughout my whole school years, I had to take tablets every day for my ADHD. So guess what? I believed I can't focus, right? So when I would go to work on my business, couldn't focus. So I had to question, why do I believe I can't focus? But then here's what I realized. Here's what I discovered, brothers. During my deductive thinking, I observed that when I would go to work, when I would get overwhelmed, when I would get a bit stressed out or start to overthink, I would run away from the task. And I was like, damn, that's interesting. Where did I learn to do that? In school. When a teacher would ask a question, for example, and I didn't know the answer immediately, I would get overwhelmed and panic. Yeah? And what I came to realize is that it wasn't that I wasn't good enough to figure it out, bro. It wasn't that I wasn't smart. I reframed it in my mind and I was like, no, I'm a deep thinker. I'm a deep thinker, bro. That's it. So in school, for example, when they're asking me these bullshit questions I don't even care about, what's the square root of whatever the fuck it was, right? Or tell us about Shakespeare. I don't give a fuck about that first and foremost. That's a huge component of this. If I don't care or I'm not interested in it, I don't want to listen to it, bro. If they ain't gonna, I knew subconsciously, bro, they're teaching me algebra. I don't need algebra, my guy. I don't need to know algebra. You know what I'm saying to you, right? So when I was in school, let's say the teacher asks a question. I could remember times in my time, in school times where the teacher would ask a question. I wouldn't know the answer. They would ask me, and then I'd be like, oh shit, I'm dumb, right? And I feel embarrassed. But nah, my bro, I'm just a deep thinker. If I could go back to school days and the teacher's like, what's the square root of this? I'll be like, quite frankly, sir, I don't give a fuck. I don't care about that bullshit. Now, bro, tell me this, yeah? Me learning about the power of the mind, learning about the subconscious mind and how our beliefs work, how our emotions work, how our habits work. Me understanding about the psychology of money. Me understanding about the ability to set up an online business, make money online, travel the world. Right? Me understanding about fitness and health and eating clean foods, bro. Me understanding about meditation. Bro, I'm all in, bro. I'll focus on that, you know? And this is what I'm saying to you guys. If I could go back to the school days and the teacher asked me the question, let's say they really needed to know the answer, I'd say, let me deeply think about that. And again, if I was to have deeply thought about that question, when they're like, what's this square root? I'll be like, let me deeply think about that. I don't give a fuck. I don't care about that bullshit. Take it away from me. Like, I swear to you guys, that's exactly what I tell the teachers. Like, that's not going to benefit me in life, my bro. Why are you telling me this shit? Algebra or Shakespeare, or whatever it is. You get my point, brothers. But going back to the original point of this message here is that I believed that I couldn't focus. I believed that I wasn't smart enough. I wasn't good enough. But nah, bro, in reality, I was just a deep thinker. I was just a deep thinker, bro. So now when I'm sitting down to do work on my business and I notice it's like so subtle now, right? But it still sometimes pops up. The little overwhelm creeps up, right? The confusion. But because I've told myself I'm a deep thinker, because I told myself I focus on demand with ease, I'm able to focus, my bro. I'm able to lock in and work and build things that not only impact lives, but make me a lot of money. More in a month than my teachers would make it a year, my bro. Do you understand? This is one of my long-term visions, bro. Is, you know, and I always say this in my videos, I don't want you to necessarily even follow me, bro. I want you to learn to think for yourself. I want you to connect to God. That's what I want for you, brother. I want you to really dive in within yourself and use your mind, bro. Think for yourself. Question things. Analyze things. Of course, match that with action, right? Match that with action. It's funny how when I start talking about God, it starts winding. A lot of wind is coming now. I think it's about to start raining as well. But my brothers, I want you to think for yourself, truly. I want you to question these things. I want you to analyze these things. And brothers, look, just jump into brotherhood right now, man. The frameworks I cover in here are going to help you deeply question your identity, who you are, what it is you truly want in life. Start your trial, get all of the resources. If you want to stay inside, you can. If not, you can leave. All right, brother? Hit that link below and start now. But my brothers, when I'm talking about thinking, I'm not talking about just think and procrastinate. I'm talking about intentionally thinking, right? Using your mind in a way where you're actively finding a solution to a challenge you're experiencing, to a problem you're facing in your mind. You know, maybe you're finding resistance towards doing something, right? And you're like, why? Don't just push through it, my bro. Don't just force yourself through it. That's going against the natural laws of the universe, man. Take a step back and analyze and think about stuff. Question things. The goal here as well is to align the conscious mind with the subconscious mind, you understand? We want to get to that point where, imagine you're driving a car but your foot's on a brake, yeah? That's what it's like if you don't actually think in your life, bro. You're just like, oh, the car's not really going smoothly. Let me just keep going. Let me think about why. Oh, my foot's on the brake, let me remove my foot, right? I'm moving towards my goals in life, I'm taking action, I feel resistance. Let me just keep going. No, why do I feel resistance? Where is this block coming from? Is it a belief? Am I just in fear mode? Like, what is the underlying block that I have here in my life? You understand me, brothers? So, it's about to start getting crazy out here. I feel it. I think the rain's about to start pouring down here in Thailand. But my brothers, think. Learn to think for yourself. There's many ways you can do this, right? But like I said, just jump inside a brotherhood. Start your trial today. Access all of the resources that are going to help you think about each of these areas of your life. You're going to get mentorship from myself as well. It's going to transform your life, my bro. I'm trying to think if there's any other points that I want to break down on this video. I would say this, right? The biggest lie we tell ourselves is trying to convince our head of something that our heart knows is a lie. When you're thinking, right, there's two ways you're going to think, if you will. One is going to come from your heart. It's going to be that inner calling, all right? The visions you have, the dreams you have, the ambitions you have. You know, I want to make money online. I dream of having financial freedom. Like, you feel it in your soul. But you need to analyze logically. So that's how I would break these down. You have the emotional aspect of it, right? And then you have the logical side of it. And you got to be able to use both of them. You got to be able to listen to your heart and feel the guidance there. But then you got to also be able to logically break down and think about that and apply it. That's for another video, my brothers. I'm going to wrap this one up. If you found this video valuable, subscribe to the channel. If you want to level up your life, join the army. Go to brotherhood.co right now. Hit the links below. Join Brotherhood. Start your trial. And other than that, my brothers, God bless. No slacking.